All right. Let's see how this goes. Trying to see if I'm actually live now. Wait, I am. Okay, excellent. All right. I'm gonna raise the volume a bit. So yeah, you may have noticed some changes. I've actually, I'm still trying. I'm still experimenting with this setup now. I don't actually have any advanced like a stand or something for the camera. I actually just grabbed my webcam and just kind of tried to balance it so I have this spot on my desk to show any cards and stuff like that. And I could even do a reading like at this way. But like, I'll still have to buy a stand at some point. But anyway, guys, I hope everyone's doing great. Welcome to my channel. So as promised, I thought I'd do like a part 2 of my Tarot de Marseille series. Let's say it's not. I don't think it's going to be much more than a couple of videos. Maybe I'll, if I have some more ideas, I might do some more. I'm not actually planning on doing a tarot channel, per se. I'm more interested in doing videos about alternate history and stuff like that. But the reason exactly why I'm doing these videos is precisely because they have to do, like, in my opinion, the way I understand the history of tarot, let's say, they have a lot to do with these alternate histories and alternate timelines and alternate religious beliefs that used to exist around the Middle Ages and the Renaissance, and probably even later that we're not aware of. And so this is what's going to be in the back of our heads as we discuss the tarot. So I want to start with. So I want to start with like something of an announcement. I got this deck recently. I already have it a few weeks now. It's been in my possession for a while. I've just been playing with it and trying to get to know it. I had also gotten a different version, but I don't like that version, so I'm not using it. So let me light my joint here 1 second. So, but this deck is basically what got me on this road, on this whole thing, both with the previous video, with the Fournier deck, with the Tarot de Marseille in general, and all that jazz. So, the idea behind this deck is that this guy, Wilfried Oudouin, yeah, he did research into the Tarot de Marseille, and he concluded that it's based on sacred geometry. So as you can see the flower of life in the background and things like that. So he's convinced that the Tarot de Marseille was, from the very beginning, was a mystical tradition, initiatory tradition, and not just a pack of playing cards. And personally, I agree with that sentiment. Most historical analyses of the tarot that I've seen, they're all kind of trying to imply that the tarot originally, because the tarot is the predecessor of the playing cards, but they were trying to imply that the tarot was originally nothing but a pack of playing cards. So I don't believe that to be the case, and the reason for that is because the symbolism in the tarot, especially in the major arcana, is way too specific and way too open-ended to be viable to be used in a playing card deck. And that's also the reason why the playing cards that we use nowadays are only 56 cards and don't have the major arcana, but instead only have a couple of jokers. So this whole story is bogus, and the Tarot de Marseille, in my opinion, is proof of that. but we'll get into that. So first off, what I wanted to start with, let's see, I have a bunch of decks here. I have way too many. So I hope I'm not gonna throw anything off my desk trying to pick stuff up. We're going to go back to Jodorowsky, where we started with last time. And we'll go through some of the details. The reason why I'm picking Jodorowsky in this case is because, well, I could do either Jodorowsky or actually, you know what, I'll pick them both. I could do both Jodorowsky and Fournier, Tarot de Marseille. But specifically the Tarot de Marseille by Fournier, not the Spanish tarot. The Spanish tarot has different rules, and we'll get into those later. But what I wanted to get into is these two are based on the Grimaud Convert version of the Tarot de Marseille. Is the sound good, by the way? I hope everyone can hear me. I suppose it is. I actually spent the whole day preparing for this video, so I hope everything is good. So yeah, as you can see, the perspective isn't great, but when as I do the flip throughs, I think it'll be a little bit better. Let me see if I can balance it out. Okay, so I don't have much space, but what I was trying to say is these two decks are based on the Grimaud Convert Tarot de Marseille, which is basically the most popular default version of the Tarot de Marseille. Like you could say it's the Tarot de Marseille equivalent of the Rider-Waite deck. It's that essential. I don't own a deck of those, but I do own this one, which is basically a carbon copy of the Convert deck, but recolored. And this one is very close as well, but adds some extra elements that make it a bit more creative, let's say. I'm not convinced that Jodorowsky restored the deck to its former glory as he would claim. I think this guy, Wherein, has a much better chance of having achieved that. Although I have my doubts about this deck as well. Not this deck, but this series of decks, let's say. I'll get into those as well later on. Don't worry. So, but nonetheless, Jodorowsky has created a beautiful deck that is useful. That has some interesting insights that could provide a different perspective onto the Tarot de Marseille and things like that. It's all, the thing about the tarot, in my opinion, the way it works, and the way it works is basically, there are certain rules in the tarot on how ambiguous it's allowed to be, let's say. I don't know if that makes sense. The thing is, because what I'm trying to say is that every tarot deck, even the originals, even like the old ones, the old Tarot de Marseille, the original packs that you'll find in museums and stuff like that, are all based on interpretation. None of them, in my opinion, has the full complete picture. But nonetheless, the Tarot de Marseille is... let's put it differently. The purpose of the tarot is not necessarily to have the full picture. The purpose of the tarot is to give you the tools to interpret signs and situations and things like that. And that's why the specifics don't really matter. And that's why the Tarot de Marseille has purposeful mistakes in it, if that makes sense. So I'll get to those. We discussed a number of them last time, right? But you can find them in almost every card. Right now, I just opened the Empress, right? Here you don't see it that well. I'll show the Jodorowsky one. Let's see if I can find her. L'Impératrice. Well, where is she now? There you go. All right, so as you can see, the Empress, right? She's holding a shield with an eagle, Rider-Waite turned it into a dove, right? But as you can see, the one wing is faulty. It's like it's broken, or it's like cut off, or like a stump, you know. While the other one seems more healthy, but you know she has her hand in front of it, so we can't say for sure. But elements like these you find in every, well, not every card, but like in every Tarot de Marseille for sure. We get back to the lovers. Let's see. There's a few cards I wanted to point out. Okay, let's take this one for example, right? We have the Valet d'Épée. We have the pages. Okay, so as you can see, this one's very normal. He's holding a sword. He has the title underneath. You know, and the various elements. I don't know what this is. That's also pretty funny. There's a few things like that in the Tarot de Marseille in general. And depending on the deck, they can get pretty weird. So, for example, the Dodal, I think it was the Dodal Tarot. Hey, Raphael, how are you doing? So I think the Dodal deck, I think it was the Dodal deck where the magician, instead of a wand, is holding like what looks like the head of a penis, and it's kind of weird because his hand looks like an AI hand. So it's missing a few fingers, and it's like one of his finger is morphing into that wand thing. But yeah, I don't have that deck, so I can't show you right now. But or maybe I'll look it up later on, and we can look at it together. But what was I looking for? Oh yeah, the pages, right? So we had the pages. So there's one particular card, and this is very funny, and that's the page of coins, right? And for some reason, the title is on this side. And not only that, he has 2 coins. So there's something strange about this particular card. Nobody knows why that is. I couldn't tell you why this is set up this way. So there's discrepancies even in the minor arcana in the Tarot de Marseille, which is kind of interesting. It feels like, you know, there's a lot of people who are talking about like this Enrique Enriquez, for example, who made this film and book about tarology. He calls it tarology, and he works with the Tarot de Marseille and with various versions, but I think he's using the Dodal mostly. And he's trying to explain that there's no esoteric symbolism behind the tarot, especially not the Tarot de Marseille, but rather that it's more like and so he uses the language of the birds. He uses that as his as his basis for interpreting the deck, the cards. But he's more interested in trying to, you know, he calls it open reading. Actually, he's not the one who came up with the term. That was Yoav Ben Dov. But he basically perfected that term, let's say. So the open reading, you know, looking at the pictures themselves and seeing what they tell us, rather than memorizing the meanings of the cards and work with those that way, you know, in an abstract way. So the point that he's trying to make is that the cards, you know, they have all the symbolism inside them, and there's things happening that we need to look at. So, for example, right, and this is an interesting, the magician one, the Le Bateleur, has this in every Tarot de Marseille. I haven't seen a single one that doesn't have this thing here, right? And Jodorowsky also mentions it in his book. I have the book, I can show it to you later as well. But so Jodorowsky says, like, is this a plant or is it a female reproductive organ, right? And then if you take Dodal, where he's holding a penis in his hand like this, and I don't know what this is, and stuff like that. So there's a whole sexual subcurrent to this card, and to a lot of cards in the Tarot de Marseille, and especially the Jodorowsky set, by the way. Let's see if I can find another one that has that idea. Because you have, for example, you have the Star. That's one of my favorite cards in the Tarot de Marseille in general. Let's see if I can find her. Well, come on then. I should have. I've thought about putting the cards in order, but I would have been. Would still have been here tomorrow, if I were be doing that. So the star, as you can see. So for example, Jodorowsky, he decided that she needs to have these lips on her. How do you say her belly button? And I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if that's necessary. She's already naked enough, but but yeah. So that's his interpretation, I guess. He describes her as like the perfect lover and the goddess and the this and the that, and that's obviously. But it's talking about uninhibited, unconditional love and things like that. But yeah, anyway. So I think I'm losing. I think I'm losing my train of thought. Maybe I went into it too fast. But so obviously these symbols, the things that you'll find in this deck, you won't find in this one, for example. This one is more straight-faced, more based on the Convert deck, which also means that it certain characteristics, certain details are being left out because Grimaud didn't actually pay attention, allegedly, according to some people. Personally, as I said in the last video, I don't think it's that important if the essence is correct. If the how do you say, if the meaning or the character of the cards, I should say, is being conveyed correctly. And I think both these decks are essentially doing that, so there's nothing wrong with that. Most Tarot de Marseille decks do. Well, okay, maybe I shouldn't say that. I just saw a video earlier about LGBT Tarot de Marseille, and I was like, yeah, no, thanks, no. That's just my taste, though. It's not. I don't know, man. Because the thing is, like, I don't know why. I don't know why they have to appropriate the Tarot de Marseille. Why they can't? Because there's plenty of LGBT decks that are just fine, that do what they're supposed to do, and I don't know why you need to do that. But anyway, whatever. So what was I gonna get at? Let's see. So we have the Millennium Edition by Wilfried Boudouin, and I'm gonna start flipping through this one a little bit. There's a few things here because he makes more changes, even, but they're different. They're of a different character than Jodorowsky's. Right? Jodorowsky is very, how do you say, very chaotic, let's say, very well, I shouldn't say chaotic, more like what's the word, impulsive. He has very, things like where he adds stuff to the cards that weren't there originally. Well, this guy is more deliberate. He has certain ideas of how the tarot was or should have been, and he's trying to implement those. And I can show you some examples as well if we switch to the other screen here. Oh wait, not this one. Oh yeah, no, wait, this one. Yeah. Okay, so we go to the website. I had it open. I have it prepared. So this is the website of the Tarot de Marseille Millennium Edition by Wilfried Boudouin. He explains that the Tarot de Marseille, he reconstructed the Tarot de Marseille based on sacred geometry, and he has a few facsimiles here, a few examples that we can look into. Obviously, he's written a whole book and stuff. I don't own it, so otherwise I could show you that. But you get the idea, because I don't think this is, I don't think we need to go into too much detail. But as you can see, I see where he's coming from. There is definitely some elements there, and all the cards, every card corresponds with this pattern, works on this pattern. But then you also have this one. So if we go further, here we see that first rose pattern again with the 6-pointed star in the middle and the, all that stuff. And we even have the thelemic 6-pointed star, the hexagram. And so on, right? So you can see where he's coming from. And honestly, personally, looking at the cards themselves without these overlays, I think you can see what he's made. It kind of feels like they almost have like a, how do you say? They almost feel like a optical illusion. Like they trick your eyes with how perfect the geometric shapes are. And especially this version, which I got, which is the pocket version. This is the 2022 pocket version. Like after this, the 2020 pocket version. The first version was the 2017. Then they came up with this. They're both limited edition, and now they have a mass-produced version available on Amazon, which is made in China, and the cardboard is shit. But it does have the book and like a little bag. So I did get a copy, but I don't actually like it. And he actually made some changes compared to this one, which kind of make it worse, in my opinion. But that's, I don't know. Because this particular version of the Tarot de Marseille has a few interesting features. So, for example, if we look at the cups, right? The cups on this deck are all closed for some reason. The only cup that's open, let's see if I can find it. The only cup that's open is the 10th here. The 10th of the 10 of cups, right? And it has this opening here, and it seems to that's from Jodorowsky's book, but it seems to refer, this little pattern, this little flower here seems to refer to the suit of coins. The coins have this little flower in the middle. This is a Tarot de Marseille thing in general. This is not specific to this deck. As I said, Jodorowsky also has that. So as you can see here in the middle, you have this little flower. So that's supposed to be in those cups. And Jodorowsky even did another thing, because he added that element to the Queen, I think. The Queen of Cups. And there may be more of these details the Queen of Cups, that I haven't seen yet, So here, she's wearing a hat, or she has this crown, but then she has this hat underneath, or something, and there's this little flower pattern, which also reminds of the suit of cups, suit of coins. Sorry. So yeah, let's get into this deck, and we'll start comparing it to the others. Because this deck also does what I was talking about last time. It kind of has this cathedral-like symbolism and character in those tiny little cards, and the fact that they're so small, it just kind of makes it even more intense and impressive for me. It's just kind of looking at these patterns is pretty interesting. But so again, with the eagle, you see the broken wing here. Let's see what else we got. We got the Page of Cups, Valet de Coupe. We should also look at the language, by the way. Valet d'Espée. Right, so nowadays we say épée in French, but here it's Espée. And again, you see this little codpiece, which seems to be in all the Marseille decks. Let's see, what else have we? Okay, the Diable. Now we're getting to some interesting stuff. But again, so cards like these, or the Death card without a name, or the Fool card without a number, or Temperance, or Judgment, or they all, to me, they seem to imply that the tarot deck was never meant for games. It more seems it seems to imply that it's more about like the symbolism and the meanings of the cards, not the meanings per se, but the the yeah, I don't know, the dialogue with the cards, the interpretation of the cards, maybe finding meaning in the cards. It doesn't even have to be like it doesn't have to be, because it could just be a work of art, you know. Like people don't even realize that it doesn't even have to be a game or a book or anything. It doesn't even have to be. It could just be a work of art. So let's see. Oh yeah, the death card. So as you can see here, it's reversed. In most other decks, he looks the other way. And funnily enough, this reversal of the death card we also find in the Spanish tarot for some reason. And I'm not sure where. I think there was another deck that I had seen. I think it was I'm not sure if it was Dodal or someone else. Wait. Where's my Spanish deck? Where it was also reversed, but I don't remember which deck it was. I think it was Dodal, or there was another one that's kind of similar to Dodal, and it's also but ugly. But I don't remember who the creator was. Let's see, where is he? Where is the death cards? Yeah. Yeah, again, so this card is way less this deck is way less precise. So for example, here we see a printing error, right? The hand has just kind of merged with the shield. And as I said, like errors seem to be par for the course with Tarot de Marseille. The High Priestess. For some reason, they called her the High Priestess here instead of the Popus. Let's see, where the hell is he? There you go. So as you can see, he's facing the same way as the Millennium version. Also, this, I have to say, this death card. Huh? Oh wait. Oh. Okay. I thought I was like, what? I was like, the devil? What? But he's behind it, so it's behind him. I was like, what the fuck? That would have been a big error. Like, I don't think this would even be acceptable for a Marseille deck. In terms of errors, like for the decks, I think people would be mad. But yeah. Okay, so let's continue with this one. So what else do we have? Oh yeah, we have the two of coins with the signature Wilfried Oudouin, Marseille 2020. This deck was actually created by Marseillois in Marseille. So that's also pretty funny. That's pretty neat, I think. Seven of Cups. But as you can see, like every card is like made with utmost precision. So it's definitely impressive. But it's funny how like the mass-produced version, the mass market version, it's just, you know, the energy isn't the same, and I think it's the cardboard mostly, but yeah, I don't know, I just can't work with it. But this one, like the thing is, like it's so small, it feels like I'm holding a little bird, you know. I can almost, like, feeling it shuffle like this, almost feels like it's breathing, you know. It's really weird. It's almost like it's going to fly away at any moment. So yeah, we have the Ace of Coins and the Emperor. L'Empereur. Okay, so the Emperor doesn't have anything particularly impressive about him. Oh yeah, one thing I forgot to mention. What he also did, and we should put a couple of cards side by side to give you an idea of what that looks like, is he basically zoomed out all the cards. So each card in the Millennium Tarot de Marseille is a little bit zoomed out so that you can have the whole character, right? So if you look at, here, oh, come on, right? His feet are touching the label, and his head is almost touching the top one. While here it's a little bit further away, and that's in order to. So with some cards on the originals, you can't see their feet at all. While he has taken effort to show them and to integrate them into the symbolism, right? So every character has a stance, has a direction he's looking at, and has his feet in a certain position. So for example, here, the Emperor, his feet make a 4. But that's on every Tarot de Marseille. But that also, it's the 4th card. So, it's like, yeah. But yeah, you'll see the same. The Hanged Man also does this stance with his feet. But then, the Hanged Man is the 12th card, and 12 is just 4 times 3. L'ermite. So this is also interesting. This is not how you spell the hermit in French, as far as I know. And obviously, the way they stick the words together with the pronoun, it's an interesting thing. It's a typical Marseille thing, but he does it more. He does it more than other decks, I guess you could say. Let's see. Also, check out this little detail on the hermit's forehead. Look, it looks like a third eye, Pretty interesting. But this is the only deck where this happens, so that's like his own innovation. He added that detail there. But, he also believes that this is the ultimate reconstruction of the original Tarot de Marseille and things like that. Oh, yeah. So here we have the Valet de Denier, right? And we saw earlier that he had the title on this side. That's why I started with the other decks and not with this one, because I wanted to give the context. So here, he has removed it entirely. The Hermit has cyan hair? I don't know. Wait, does he? Oh yeah. Well, not cyan exactly. It's more like it's the lighting that makes it look cyan, but it's light blue. It's like it's light blue, sky blue. And the Emperor also has that. Let's see if I can find him again. There you go. So yeah, there's multiple characters with blue hair. That's not even that's in a lot of Tarot de Marseille. That's not even his innovation. But so the title is missing, but he still has the same coins, and I'm still trying to understand why the 2 coins on this card, and there's more weird stuff with the coins. So if you look at the Knight of Coins, we'll get there too at some point, I think. Oh, you have the King of Wands. Let's see if I can find him real quick. We don't need to go through every card. I'm not actually planning on doing a flip through. There's a few things I wanted to touch upon, but and I wanted to show off this deck because I'm pretty smitten with it. Let's see, where is he? The Knight. Here you go. Okay, so the Knight of Coins. He's looking at a coin. He's not holding it like the other characters are, but he's holding a club for some reason. So there's something, and there's also this weird blue halo around his head. So there's a few things here that I'm not sure I understand. But I'll just have to keep. Maybe I should get his book at some point. But the Fool, Le Mat, Le Jugement. So he used an I here rather than a J, which is also interesting. But he uses the Latin spelling entirely, so that's why we have the V instead of the U. because the U didn't exist in Latin originally. La Lune. This is also one of the prettiest cards, I think. Let's see, what else do we have? Ah, yeah, La Maison Dieu. Okay, so I definitely wanted to discuss this card. There's a few details here that are interesting. So, as discussed earlier, we have the pun, l'âme et son Dieu, l'âme et son Dieu, or la Maison Dieu. And then we have the feathers. So instead of fire, we have what looks to me like plumes, right? So, and then you have all these weird elements around, you know, that kind of could be interpreted as dust. So the way I see it is like he has this duster, this feather duster that he's cleaning his house with. So God is cleaning his house, and we're just like the specks of dust that are flying out the window, you know. And then there's this figure, you know, and there's theories that he's falling out the door. And then if we look at Jodorowsky, he actually took that to heart, and he integrated that into the symbolism of the tower. Right, so there you go. Right, he's falling out the door. So he literally drew a door here and pushed the figure a little bit back so that it looks like he's falling out the door. So I don't know how good that is. I've seen some reviews that were kind of mad about this idea because it removes the ambiguity, and that's kind of what I think that's kind of what I'm trying to get at with this video. You know, the whole point of the tarot, the whole point of the Tarot de Marseille, even more, is this element of ambiguity, is this element of playing with meaning. It is a game, but it's not a game, you know, it's not a gambling game. It's a game wherein you play with meaning and you try to how do you say, you try to make new associations between different concepts and so on. And that's why everything is ambiguous. So it is, you know, I believe that what Enrique Enriquez says about the Tarot de Marseille is literally true. It's literally written in the language of the birds. It's intended for you to scratch your head and be like, what is this card? What does it mean? And that's the funny thing, and that's why the Rider-Waite and the Thought Tarot traditions, you know, I've started thinking more and more that they're actually muddying the waters rather than adding to the tradition. Because basically what Rider-Waite does is he takes these symbols and he says, you know, I mean, they're occult symbols. They're based on, you know, alchemy and how do you say, ceremonial magic and astrology and all that stuff. So it needs to be distilled. So he basically takes that symbolism and he he reinterprets it. And obviously, it's the tarot. He's not only allowed. It's part of its functions. You know, part of the tarot's functions is to be interpreted, and that's why we keep getting new decks and things like that. But he, like his interpretation did rigidify the meanings of the tarot deck, and it's also, and it's pretty funny because like you know, it's the Rider-Waite deck. It's a very British deck compared to this. You know, this is very much a French deck, obviously. And the Brits just have this kind of mindset, I guess. You know, if you read British philosophy, like you know, like Hume or like Bertrand Russell and things like that, they're super dry. They lack imagination. You know, so you know, the Rider-Waite deck is basically, everything is basically how do you say, pre-chewed for you, you know? I don't know if that's that's the term. But yeah. Oh yeah, so we have the two of cups. This one doesn't contain any extra information, I think. Most two of cups have like the initials of the artist or like the coat of arms of the publisher or something like that. This one doesn't have any of that. It just has the phoenix here, two griffins, which is also interesting, and obviously the two dolphins, which are always in the Tarot de Marseille, in the two of cups. And then we have the Wheel of Fortune. All right, let me grab a thing. So yeah, I'm kind of so. Also, what this deck does, it removes all the numbers of all the pips, not just the coins. You know, originally, as I said, as we saw in the last video, in the Grimaud and Convert versions, only the coins were unnumbered. All the other cards had numbers like this on the two sides, and obviously in this version, as I showed last time, there's a third one here for no reason at all. Yeah, but the reason for that is, and I think it started with this deck, and that's why this became a thing with Fournier, is because they thought, I think they felt that the coins weren't clear enough, so they started adding numbers to those, and then they were like, you know, since we're adding the numbers to the coins, maybe we should add an extra number to the other ones, to the other suits, so that you can tell which side is up and which side is down. And then they did it like this. It's stupid. It's retarded. But yeah, what you gonna do? I still love this deck. It's very, very pretty, and very, you know, just very, very handy to have. You know, it fits well in the hand. It's not too big. It's not too small. Not as small as this one. You know, for a size comparison, if you like. Actually, if you'd like, we can do the compare it with Jodorowsky as well. So this one's the biggest, obviously. But yeah. So yeah, let's continue with this one. I have a point, I swear, but yeah, I don't know. I don't think it matters too much, to be honest. What I think. L'amoureux. Oh, I love this card. Oh yeah, and this is another interesting one, Le Chariot. So for some reason the T becomes an R, and I don't know what that's supposed to mean here. It looks like it's implying it's made of gold or something, maybe the Golden Chariot. That could be an interpretation. And we have the initials here as well. You see that a lot in the Chariot cards in general. Let's see if I can find the Jodorowsky one, because this one's a little bit different. There you go. Right, so he has the little droplet on the shield, and he has the correct spelling, or like the official spelling. So yeah, let's see. Let's continue. The four of coins is also pretty interesting with the coat of arms and the phoenix in the middle again. I think okay. So I think we've come full circle now. We've reached the Empress. Oh, hey, my cat is still here. All right, give me a second. I'll let him out. Voila. Well, you got the memo at least. You got the memo pretty quick. Well, I hadn't even realized he was still here. But so yeah. Okay. I think we've gone through all the cards with this one, right? So what's the conclusion of this, right? So I think obviously Houdin has a point. The possibility exists to extrapolate like sacred geometry on top of the Tarot de Marseille. Obviously, the thing is, I don't think that is much of an explanation because you can apply sacred geometry on basically any image, and you'll get a result. I don't know if you've seen the memes with the Fibonacci spiral where they put it like onto everything, like onto Sonic, onto like I don't know, two kids fighting or whatever, or a cat or whatever, and or like a big burly guy, this how do you call this Greek? What was his name again? This Hercules guy, this big bodybuilder guy who's like bloat maxing, and he's all screaming all the time. So they put this Fibonacci spiral on his belly, and it looks perfect, So obviously, sacred geometry, in my opinion, doesn't actually prove anything. You can make a picture, apply various geometrical shapes on top of it, and especially if we go back to the website, especially if you look at this, I mean, this could be any image. It could work with any image as long as the cards have this Fibonacci. How do you say? Because my phone also has these dimensions, right? Let me show you here. It's the same dimensions. It's 1 by 3. It's the golden rule, right? And most cards are designed, especially tarot, are designed in the same fashion. So obviously, no matter what image you're gonna put on them, there will be geometric shapes that you can apply to them. So it's the same as with astrology and with the way they, like atheists and stuff, like Dawkins and stuff, explain like how they use ambiguity to make it seem like they're predicting the future. It's the same with this imagery, That doesn't mean it's not beautiful, And that doesn't mean it's not useful either. It doesn't mean that it even better yet. It doesn't mean that this deck isn't magical. But I don't think I don't think that was the original intention, or maybe not purposefully or consciously, the original intention of the original creators in the 15th century who created the Tarot de Marseille, because if you look at those original decks and the reconstructions that we have and the museum pieces that we have, they look like they're drawn by children. There's no real there's no real rhyme or reason to the art style, especially like the Dodals and the I don't know what the Ben Dovs and the what have you, right? So Tarot de Marseille is always drawn in this naive art form, a naive art style. This guy makes it, he makes it more professional. He, his cards look super, super finely detailed, even though it still retains this naive element. It's very, very precise, But so, kudos. He made an amazing, awesome Tarot de Marseille, but is it the original? No, it came out in 2020. So, but what does that mean? What is the tarot tradition even in the first place? Where does that all come from? And then if we, because I wanted to get back to what we talked about last week, because I'm not entirely done with Fournier either, right? Because what I think I discovered with the last video, and what I discovered with the Spanish tarot and with the Fournier Marseille deck, is that there is a Spanish tradition. There's a Spanish tradition of tarot that nobody talks about on YouTube. We have you have 3 main lineages, right? You have Rider-Waite, you have Thoth, and you have Tarot de Marseille. But nobody tells you that there is a Spanish tradition as well, right? It's more recent, I think. I think it's got started with Fournier, but I might be wrong. And I think they're actually connected, and there's a spiritual connection there that we haven't even begun to understand. So, because of that, I want to go into the Spanish tarot first of all. This is Fournier's deck, and they call it the Spanish tarot. I don't know how old this originally is. I don't think it is old, actually. I don't. But from what I know is that Fournier has a museum, and they have several original Tarot de Marseille there. So there's even French artists that are making reconstructions that are visiting Fournier's premises to study the cards. So even the French go to Spain to study the Tarot de Marseille. So I think there's something to this deck and this tradition and this one, right? As I explained last week, I believe that Marichou de Goulet, the creator of this deck, of the theory behind the deck, because she hired an artist to make the paintings. Yeah, exactly. Thank you, Raphael. Yeah, that's what I was gonna get at, because they're yeah. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. But indeed, there is a tradition there that connects to the Moors of Spain and this and that, and to the. We'll get there because I don't have a script, but I don't want to spoil things just yet. I kind of want to get there naturally, but so. Okay, so this deck is a little bit weird. Like the art, as you can tell, is very, very naive, very childish, not very well done. And the titles are in English and Spanish. So the titles, they're already deviating from the Marseille tradition, right? But there's a few interesting elements here that define Fournier's style, and one of them is this, right? So you have the Knight of Wands, for example, but it says Caballo de Bastos, which means horse of wands. It doesn't say Knight of Wands. It should be Caballero, right? Caballero? No, I think Caballero. But it's Caballo. And the reason why has to do with the language of the birds, and that's we've discussed this with Pirate. This has to do with the Kabbalah. Right? The Kabbalah is the basis of chivalry. Kabbalah is the horse. So the Caballo de Bastos is the horse of the wands. So as you can tell, like the Spanish, like Fournier and his, I don't know what they were, maybe they were like a secret society or like whatever. They had their own interpretation, which was still in line with the language of the birds, but they had to use their own language because they're Spanish, so suddenly different interpretations apply again to the tarot. And now this gets interesting because this seems to have become later a tradition within Fournier. So if we take a couple of newer decks that I have, right? I have the Tarot del Fuego and the Tarot de El Dio de los Tres, right? So this is the El Dio de los Tres. I showed them last episode too, but we'll go into a bit more detail because both of these are amazing decks, and they're very recent. They're very new. So it seems that Fournier is still in top shape. They're still doing their thing, And I have to say I really respect that, because these packs, all Fournier decks, are very, very widely available. More widely available than any other tarot publisher, because they sell them all over the world, at least in Europe. You can get them like at your local tobacco shop, at your local bookstore, at your local, they're literally everywhere, and they're like $15, while all other decks are like 25 to 30 if you're lucky. Yeah, and you have to order them online, or you have to go to a specific store that stocks tarot decks, or to a bookstore that also stocks them, So yeah, let's see. So what has this guy done with the knights, right? I'm not going to go through too much detail, but I wanted to show you the knights. Here. Caballo de Oros. Where's the knight? It says knight right here. Right? So he took it very, very literally. So he's only drawing horses. Here. Knight of Swords. Same story. So the Spanish have their own tradition. Isn't that interesting? So yeah. And I think the Tarot del Fuego also had that. I'm not sure. Let's we can go through it for a little bit. So this one is blue. The other one is more like magenta, red and magenta. So I feel they're complementary decks as well. Like I would pair these two together. I haven't done that yet because I haven't had the time to get into these decks very much yet because I'm very much obsessed with the Tarot de Marseille at this point. But like if I start using them seriously, I'll probably start using them together. Like I use the Spanish deck and the Fournier de Marseille as well. Here, Knight of Wands. Again, no actual rider, just a horse. But he doesn't have the Spanish title, he only has the English one. Let's see if we can find another one to confirm if this is a pattern or not. The Sun. This is a very weird deck, by the way. You can tell, I think. The Star, Queen of... come on, is it? Here. Another knight. And this one, Knight of Cups, right? And you see a little cup, and this whole horse is growing out of it, and then it grows into a tree as well, and it's on fire too. It's like, what the fuck is going on? But yeah, but yeah. So that's part of the Spanish tradition. So that's interesting as well. So the conclusion I drew last time, I think that was pretty clear, was that Fournier was continuing a tradition. That had come over from Spain, and my theory is obviously that from Spain. I mean, from France. I mean, from southern France, from Marseille. And the thing is, like Marichu de Goulet, the one who made the Tarot de Marseille and the Gran Tarot Esoterico and a couple of Basque tarot decks and things like that. She seems to have been Fournier's, how do you say, like their mascot, or like their, she was like their golden goose, she was making all the decks. And she created this tradition, Oh yeah. Let's go a bit further because there's more. I didn't even get into. I did get into that last week, but it's good to reiterate. Let's see. So, we have another deck. Let's see if I can find it. Do I have it here? Yes. Which is, I talked about it pretty extensively last time, but I want to go into a little bit more detail because I really love this deck. So this is the Luis Royo Labyrinth Tarot. Again, Luis Royo is not... I have nothing against him. He's a good artist. He draws very pretty women. Does very nice dark fantasy art. He's very popular, like in fantasy fairs and goth festivals and things like that. You'll see like his art books and stuff floating around. And he actually has 3 tarot decks. 2 of which are completely worthless. They're just, they just grabbed random art from his art books and put them on some cards. But this deck is different because he actually did research, and now this time we can actually look at it much better than last time. So as you can see, there's astrological correspondences. He takes the symbolism seriously. Every card is custom made. He made every art piece specifically for each card. He didn't do all of them, so the pips are templates. So, he kind of... but the court cards he did draw, right? But so if you look here, Okay, the pips are just pips, you know. So he has a bunch of clubs. Obviously, there's still the colors and stuff. So he probably did that by hand, but then that's probably photoshopped, right? But that's not a big deal. The pips are just pips, you know. They're what they are, but they still have the astrological correspondences and everything. So this guy has put some real effort into making a decent tarot deck, and I have to, you know, I have to respect that. And not only that, he also follows this tradition, you know, but he does it differently. So, for example, let's look at a night from him, you know, here. Oh, he also, right, Caballo de Espadas. He doesn't say Caballero, but he does have a rider though, right? But this is a fantasy artist, so I guess he's more traditional in that way. But still, he's following this tradition. And not only that, so Marichu de Goulet, creating this deck, she created a new color pattern for the minor pips, for the minor arcana, right? So the swords are blue, the cups are red, right? The wands are green, and the coins are yellow. There you go. Yeah, it also goes for the court cards. They're no exception. So the background colors are, you know, in these colors. And guess what Luis Royo does in this deck? Let's start from the beginning, right? The swords are blue background. The wands are green. The coins are yellow, or gold if you like. Let's see, where's the last one? And the cups are red. So he's actually, you know, this is a deck, you know, that he made. He apparently he studied this one, and he probably studied the Spanish deck as well, right? And those two gave rise to this one. And it's not the only one. Like all Fournier decks, apparently, because there's a few more that I don't own. There's the Carlotide that I probably want to buy at some point. It's a little bit frisky, but it's very, very pretty, I have to say. And it also follows that tradition. And then we have the Tarot del Fuego and Tarot del Dio de los Tres, and they also follow this tradition. So there's something there. And Fournier, like, as far as I'm concerned, like realistically, in terms of like their production value, Fournier is the biggest tarot manufacturer in the world, even though they're now owned by Cartamundi and whatever. As I said, all their decks, you know, they're available anywhere. You know, you can buy them in especially like if you go to Spain or Portugal or South America, you can buy them everywhere. But even here in Greece, like I could buy it like at a tobacco shop, and there's like here in Athens alone, there's like 20. If like you know, if I look on the internet, there's like 20 shops that stock them, tobacco shops, right? I'm not even talking about tarot shops, which also have them, you know. And then when you know, so what I'm trying to say is that they have a reputation as a card playing company, which allows them to ship these anywhere in the world. So they're, as far as I know, they're the only tarot company that does this. So, but nobody talks about how big their tradition is, how big their production is, and how influential their cards actually are. You know, we have no idea. Because these decks, for some reason, they're just regarded as second-rate, cheap decks. You know? Which in a way they are. They're kind of trashy. You know, the Spanish tarot deck is pretty trashy. You know, if you look at the pictures, they're not very pretty. But you know, do you want to learn tarot? Or do you want to have pretty shit, you know? And not only that, there are pretty decks. If you want to learn tarot seriously and you want to have a pretty deck to do that, this one follows the tradition perfectly. Not only that, it has an unnumbered Fool card, an unnamed Death card. Let's see if I can find them. it has, and it has another interesting thing because for some reason it has decided to. Let's see if I can find it. Because this is pretty funny. There's some decks that do that, but I hadn't figured that this one did it too. Come on. There you go. So, he has numbered the world card number 22. Normally the world card is number 21 and the full is 0, right? So there's no 22. But some decks have the world card as 22, which places the full card, which doesn't have a number, in between the world and the judgment. So those are different traditions. He decided to pick this one. I don't know why. Maybe it's even a typo. It could be, but I don't think it was a mistake. I think he did that on purpose. So, but if you want to learn tarot and have a pretty deck, here you go. Or this one. But I think this one's more for advanced. So I wouldn't recommend this one. But this one I would definitely recommend for a beginner. There's some weird decks too, though. Fournier doesn't. Not all Fournier's decks are good. You know, they have a few, animal companion tarots and a few, Gothic tarots, and also the other two Louis Royo decks and stuff that aren't actually. How do you say? Following any specific tradition. They're just random art stuck onto random cards. Which is a pattern in tarot decks I despise. So, Los Carabeo does that as well, with a lot of decks, especially like the artist decks, like what's his name? I don't remember the guy who made all the etchings for Paradise Lost and things like that. You know, this French guy, I don't remember his name, but Gustave Doré. Yeah, so Scarabeo has a Gustave Doré deck. But yeah, Gustave Doré doesn't live anymore. He doesn't make tarot art. He hasn't made any tarot art. So what they did is they picked random art and they put them on random cards. They tried to figure out, what would be more appropriate for this and that meaning, and then they put it on there. So those kinds of decks, I don't like. And obviously Fournier has those too, but so does everyone. But in the case of Fournier, I think those are more recent. I think those came out after Fournier himself, Heraclio Fournier himself, passed away, and they started kind of hiring different artists. But the fact that Luis Royo himself, because this is his second deck, right? So the first one was a random art, then he made this one. And then they released a third one with random art again. For no reason. Even though he himself, he's already done the work. He's done the research. He has a perfect deck on his name. I don't know. Anyway. So enough about this. What I'm trying to get at is that the fact that in the Spanish tradition, the knight is known as the caballo, which refers to the Kabbalah, which refers to chivalry, which refers to, all that stuff, rather than a chevalier as in the French tarot, or than a knight in our case, implies that it's connected to a greater tradition, right? And we already knew that, obviously, but like if you look at, Etaya and all these people who introduced the Egyptian symbolism into the tarot and things like that, stuff that is completely, in my opinion at least, completely unrelated to the tarot. I don't think the tarot has anything to do with Egypt. I think what these people did, because those were like Freemasons and things like that, I think they appropriated the tarot tradition and tried to give it different explanations and different interpretations. And it's a bit of a shame, but yeah, I don't know. It's maybe better that way. Because the thing is, like, because, for example, Rider-Waite, I think Rider-Waite tried to bring it back to its origins in a way, because he was a Christian mystic, right? So he took all those things into account as well. I think he had the right intentions, and maybe the new tradition he created, maybe it is actually for the better that it exists, for people to have an approachable, accessible tarot tradition they can tap into. That will help them to interpret the rest of the cards, or the rest of the different traditions that are out there. Because if you read Rider-Waite's booklet, which is very good, by the way, in this, because both of these, by the way, I got these recently, and they're the pocket versions as well. I already have the normal size, but they're both in Dutch, so I wanted an English version. So I thought I'd get the pocket version to have all three main lineages, how do you say, genealogies, in my pocket. Yeah, this is the Holy Trinity, So it's like Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. If you want to talk about Christian mysticism. But both of these have excellent booklets. So both of these are very, pretty thick. They contain a lot of information. They're only in English. There might be a drawback for some people, but they're very, very insightful. But so, yeah, we're not discussing these, so I'm putting those on the side. I just a little tangent here. But so, what I suspect, basically, where the tradition comes from, obviously, historians claim it doesn't actually come from Marseille, right? So the Tarot de Marseille was popularized in northern Italy and all that stuff. I explained that last time. But it got the name Marseille because Grimaud, who then reissued the modern Tarot de Marseille, was in Marseille, and he believed that it came from there. But at the same time, I do believe it's connected to southern France, to Languedoc, and all that stuff. Which is, where all the persecutions happened in, the Albigensian Crusades and all that stuff. And basically, what I believe they did, the Cathars and all these guys, is they tried to encode their knowledge into these cards. And the reason why they made playing cards is exactly because that's, that way they won't, people won't notice what they're doing, because they're playing cards, so it's not serious, there's nothing behind these cards and nothing suspicious about them, they're just playing cards. But that doesn't mean that they don't come from a secret tradition, from a mystical tradition. And the connection with Spain makes it even more obvious. Because the fact that Fournier is interesting too, because he was part French. He has a French name. He descends from a family of French industrialists. And the fact that this tradition exists in Spain, or that he maybe he created this tradition in Spain even, it confirms, for me at least, I don't know if this is true, I'm just speculating, but it confirms the relationship the Spanish Moors in the Middle Ages had with southern France, with the Cathars and the Bogomils and all these people. That's what I think where the tarot comes from. And basically, what I think happened when Eteja wrote his books And when the French, these French mystics during the French Revolution uh, picked up on those ideas, basically what happened, I think, is that the clergy, let's say, and I think I have to be careful about this because they weren't actually they weren't necessarily actually priests, but I think they were. I think they were Freemasons. They were members of like secret societies, and obviously those were a big deal during the French Revolution and things like that. I think they appropriated this system, and they tried to apply their Egyptian Phoenician philosophy on top of it. And because it's such a flexible tool, it's very easy to do. And now, and this is interesting because now you have this phenomenon. If you look into tarot channels and stuff like that, they all talk about stuff like shadow work and stuff like that. So you have this phenomenon of dark decks, and I think that's where they come from, basically. Like I think the Crowley tarot is the first shadow deck. I think it's the first shadow deck. There's not even any doubt in my mind. Look at this. You have this. First off, Liber 78. That's the number of cards. That's not all these titles that Crowley chose for his books are very specific. His book of the law is called Liberal vel legis, so liberal. So he's a liberal. He's espousing liberal values. Do as thou wilt, shall be the whole of the law, right? But so I believe that the Thought Tarot is a shadow deck, first and foremost, and it's the first and foremost shadow deck as well. So, does that take away from its legitimacy? Personally, I don't think so per se. I don't even think what Eteia did and what Crowley did or Rider-Waite did is bad necessarily. We still have access to the other decks. There's no reason why we shouldn't make use of these as well. They can provide new insights that we might not have thought of before. But I do think it's important to know the origins, of where this game comes from and what it actually means, and what it actually allows us to do. So yeah, I don't know. Personally, I think this is the essence of the tarot. The language of the birds, its flexibility, the richness of interpretation, it's a vocabulary. It's just like language. You can do anything you want with the words. You can lie to people if you want. You can say stupid things. You can make a joke. You can make a pun. No, technically, you can make a mistake. You can make a typo, or you can use grammar incorrectly. But technically, that doesn't affect the meaning of your words. You're still, as long as you're using words that are meaningful, people will still mostly understand you. So if you go to a foreign country and you don't speak the language, but you have a little dictionary with you, you can communicate with people. And in the same way, the tarot kind of allows us to speak and formulate, like subtle meanings, subtle energies that we haven't, that we can't control otherwise. I don't know. We can't control them anyway, but God, this video isn't going very well in my opinion. But I don't know. I'm trying to, because this is, cause it's the same. I'm trying to get where Enrique Enriquez got with his theory, because he rejects everything. He rejects Kabbalah. He rejects chakras. He rejects astrology, astrological conventions with the tarot and everything. And I'm kind of inclined to agree. I kind of believe it's more like it's a pure imagistic tool that you can you can project meaning onto in different ways. And each way, whatever way you choose to do it is basically valid. I hate that word, but it's basic. There's nobody who can stop you. There's nobody who can tell you not to lay a spread one way or another. Even though there's people who believe that you shouldn't buy your decks. You should only have them gifted or only find them or whatever, or whatever. But how are you supposed to get a deck if you're not buying any and people don't know that you're actually researching the tarot or doing tarot? Yeah, you have to buy your decks. There's no other way. So there's no right or wrong in that regard. But there are the meanings of there is meaning in the cards. Let's put it this way, right? So the Empress, obviously, the mainstream interpretation is that she represents fertility and creativity and things like that. But there's a simpler interpretation as well, right? Because where's she looking at? She looks to her left, right? So, and if we put another card next to it, she's looking at that card, right? So that's one of the tricks they teach you in open readings, how to look at the images themselves and see if they have any input rather than the abstract concepts that we've learned to associate with the cards. This is very hard. I'm not very good at that kind of thing, but I'm working on it because it's an interesting concept. Personally, I'm not sure. Yeah, personally, I'm not sure if that's the real purpose of the tarot, to just play with the images. I do think there's abstract concepts connected to it as well. And how could it be otherwise? You have an empress, you have an emperor, you have a magician, you have a death card, you have the tower, you have the fool. You have all these concepts that are concepts of their own. But at the same time, there is this fluidity, and there's also this implication, especially in the Rider-Waite and in other decks. let me open this one up. That implies that all cards are connected, right? So, for example, you have let's see if I can find her. You have the robe of the High Priestess, which turns into a river, which shows up in all the other cards, in the Star and in the Temperance card and things like that. And that's his interpretation of this system. Actually, no, that's this one's. That's Paul Foster Case's interpretation, to be honest. Although Rider-Waite also has like a map with all the cards, where all the cards are. This is my Bota deck, by the way. This is one of my favorite decks. I colored this myself. I took the course in the Bota deck. I'm not supposed to show it to you, but I don't give a shit. But this is... honestly, as far as Rider-Waite clones go, this is one of the best. Like the symbol... So, this basically... This is to Rider-Waite what this is to the Tarot de Marseille. Exactly the same thing. In the sense that they take the symbolism and they purify it. And they make it very concise and very precise. So for example, you have the Fool here, and then you have the eye in his bag, and you have an eagle underneath. And you have the white rose, and you have all these golden discs on his clothes, which seem to symbolize the coins. And you have the doggy. So the symbolism is a little bit more... Oh yeah, and you have this moon and crescent, and if you look very closely, in the folds of the nape of his neck, in the folds of his, the blouse, it has the tetragrammaton. And this is not even the only place where this appears. This also happens in the Temperance card. Let's see if I can find it. These cards are a bit harder to shuffle because they're only cardboard, but I still love them, and I'm actually happy with how long the color has been holding on, because I colored these with colored pencils, Look at this, the stars. I did some effort to make like a night sky, you know. Well, come on, dude. Where's the temperance card? I'm showing you my... This is like, you know... This showing you this deck is kind of like me dropping my pants and kind of just showing you my privates, you know. It's a bit too personal, but whatever. So Jot He Wou He, as you can see. So the Fool also has this. Very weird. But yeah, so... this deck, like, nothing is left to chance. All the symbolism is explained, and you can get the books, and they will go through grueling detail, explaining each and every detail, each and every little speck of information on the cards. How long have I been going? Because I think I'm kind of running out of wind here. I'm already 1 hour and 25 minutes in. I think I'm gonna go a little bit longer, but I think I've kind of almost basically covered everything I wanted to say. But so, what's the conclusion then? The tarot is an open-ended tool, same way as the I Ching and similar traditions. It's not actually, even though it is connected to a spiritual tradition, in my opinion, from the very beginning. Right, it's no coincidence that this was, and not only that, right? The Tarot de Marseille. Oh god damn it! I should get back. Okay, should we cover the history? Let's start with the history. So, the Tarot de Marseille was originally based on Mamluk playing cards. I can show you those too, because they are connected to the Arapians and to the Moors. And anyone saying otherwise, because there's even an interpretation of the tarot, the words tarot coming from Arabic, right? So you have these Mamluk playing cards. They didn't have a major arcana, by the way. What? Huh? Wait, what's going on? Okay. Well, you can see what I mean here. So you have the swords, you have the wands, you have the coins, you have the cups, right? They're very similar, or well, this one isn't that similar, but like yeah. So this is connected with the origin of playing cards and of the tarot, right? So we got those from the Arabs, and how could it be otherwise? So for example, the Fool card. The Fool card is number 0. And it's probably the first instance of the number 0, because we learned that from the Arabs, right? The number 0, we learned that from the Arabs. So the Fool card, I think, is one of the first instances of the number 0 appearing in European culture. Right? But it's not numbered. The Fool card is not numbered, as you can see. Right, but you could say it's the first inkling of the concept of 0, of nothing. So that's one thing. It started with the Mamluks. Then it went to southern France. From there it went to northern Italy. And to Spain, probably. And it probably already was in Spain. It probably came from Spain to begin with. So it probably went from Spain to France to Italy, and then from there it spread through Switzerland, all over Europe. So the tarot is definitely connected to a spiritual tradition. And again, that's exactly the reason why they're playing cards and not a book or like something like that. Anyway, I honestly think I've covered everything I wanted to say. I don't have anything else. I could go through some more decks for just for the hell of it before we end this. Oh yeah, I got a really nice deck to show you. Let's get back to the. Because this is okay. So this is interesting because And I consider this a shadow deck as well. This is I'll show you the booklet as well. I have it. This is the Keymaster Tarot. Oh wait, sorry. The Keymaster Tarot. And it's another Tarot de Marseille clone in a sense, but it has a bunch of. It doesn't follow the tradition that precisely. It's a little bit of a mixed bag. The art is absolutely stunning, like mind-bogglingly beautiful. But the deck itself is a bit subpar in my opinion. The cardstock again is amazing. The quality of this thing physically and aesthetically is top notch, absolutely gorgeous, but the cards themselves don't speak to me, unfortunately. There's some cards that do, but like these pips, first of all he uses the playing cards symbols mixed in with the Tarot de Marseille, right? So you have the wands and the clubs, and then you have the swords and the spades, right? He still calls them swords. So then you have the king of coins, but then you have the diamond here. So that's a neat idea. I thought that would be interesting to experiment with. But this deck basically confirms what I was saying earlier about Eteia and about the playing cards and all this, and how like these secret societies appropriated the Marseille tradition and turned it into something else. And I think that's also where the playing cards come from, because it's a corruption of the tarot. It's not, because first off, they reduce the four suits. They reduce them to 2 colors. So there's still 4 suits, but there's just 2 colors of them, red and black, which basically means if you're divining with playing cards, means reds are positive and blacks are negative. That's not how the tarot works. And then they removed the major arcana. They removed the knights from the minor arcana, from the court cards. So the playing cards are a corruption of the tarot. That's what I believe. And that's also why they're used for gambling and for all kinds of vices. Because they're there to discredit this tradition. And that's also why I don't like this deck. Honestly, I think this is a shadow deck too. I feel this is a shadow deck. And not only that, like the booklet for this deck was written by a Swiss parapsychologist whose name is... Here, look at that face, dude. Oh, wait, why do I do this? Here. Lilo Schwartz, right? Lilo Schwartz. She wrote this booklet, and it's the worst booklet I've ever read. It's absolutely fucking atrocious. It's so bad. This booklet ruined this deck for me. Like if I didn't have this, the deck I might have liked this deck quite a bit more. But actually, you can just disregard it. The deck itself is already faulty. And the artist is an Italian guy. It's not a bad deck. Don't get me wrong. Why do I do this? There's a reason why I do this, because originally when I put this webcam down, it was showing everything upside down because it's pointing down. So I had to flip it twice, both horizontally and vertically, to get the straight up image, to have you guys see the same thing I see. But then I was already used to trying to show it upside down. So now I'm showing everything upside down, even though I don't have to. So anyway, this is Lorenzo Graggiotti, right? So he made this deck, and it's his first tarot deck. He normally runs a playing card company called Stockholm 17 in Sweden. And apparently he makes these artsy playing decks. And now he made a tarot deck. So you can tell, personally, my opinion, this guy didn't put in half the work Luis Royo did. Luis Royo made a much, much, much more respectable deck than this. And I don't want to discredit this. Like, the aesthetic is amazing. Look at this. Judgment. Looks like Neon Genesis Evangelion, you know? And the Tarot de Marseille tradition is in there, and it's all superficial. Look at the fool. He looks like an idiot. And look, first off, this fool reminds me of this, of Understanding Conspiracy, his channel. you know, with the Nephilim look like clowns. So this deck, I feel this deck is demonic. It has a demonic energy in it, and I'm very wary of what it has to say. But let's look at what Lilo Schwartz has to say about the Fool, because I found this very, very interesting when I read this, right? The Fool dances gracefully with his white unearthly ghost dog, right? Between the worlds of light and darkness on a carpet-like ground. He only pays heartfelt attention to this moment in time, living it without the past and without future. Only in being does he feel at home, without history or goal, without purpose, totally without desire, and even without fear. His diamond may be valuable, his clothes precious. The Fool doesn't care. So she inverses the meaning of the Fool. Since when does the Fool have expensive clothes? What the fuck is this interpretation? You know, and you can tell from the way she writes that she's Swiss. It's like fucking worthless. Anyway. Anyway, I just wanted to show you this deck because I find this is like the culmination of like I feel like this is the culmination of the corruption of tarot. In a way. But it does have some very neat pictures. Look at this with the sun. I have to say this Lover's card is definitely one of the prettiest I've seen. Very nice. So, again, it's not like I hate this deck or anything, but it's just I'm very wary of it. I've done some spreads with it, and I just feel it's not that it doesn't speak to me. I just feel it lies. I just feel it says things. You know, it purposefully tries to subvert or to invert the truth and things like that. It's a bit of a weird one, but I think I'm going to try this out for shadow work once I get to that stage of my work. So anyway, guys, I think I've covered everything. What I'm trying to say, at any rate, is that the tarot is the real deal. Don't believe the narrative. We have a very rich tradition, both in France and in Spain and in and elsewhere. The Rider-Waite tradition is also just fine, or thought if you prefer. But I would start with this. I would start with this one, honestly. If you're new to tarot, get Fournier. Get Fournier Tarot de Marseille, or get Luis Royo, get the Labyrinth Tarot, or get the Spanish deck. Actually, no, don't get the Spanish deck. Get this, or get the Labyrinth deck. The Labyrinth deck is just a bit more for like younger audience, for people who need to have pretty pictures to be able to read the cards. But obviously, this deck isn't ugly by any stretch. This is one of the, in my opinion, one of the prettiest Tarot de Marseille's ever produced. Like the faces and the anatomy and the characters and the colors. And just the way this deck, to me, this is the friendliest deck I own. It's, it has a very soothing voice. It's very compassionate, very easy to understand, and you can go deep with this. It's not a superficial deck. It's very beautiful. So, guys, if you're interested in the tarot, get this one. Or get the Rider-Waite. Obviously, you can't go wrong with that. Hope this was informative. I thought I would have more to say, but anyway, I it's a big topic. I might do more videos, reviews and stuff like that. But I think we'll go back to doing historical stuff. I still want to do my video on the Palatines, and I still want to do a couple of other videos that I had in mind about some other topics that I'm not gonna reveal just yet. But I'll try to be a bit more regular posting videos, because the last one was like three weeks, I'd say 3 weeks ago. So that was a bit too long ago. So I think I need to start working on my schedule. But we'll get there when we get there, guys. Hope you enjoyed. Thanks for watching, Raphael. And